Canadian Prime Minister Stephen Harper has demanded Russia's Putin to end his invasion of eastern Ukraine and announced Canada was slapping additional economic sanctions against Russia's state energy giants Gazprom and Transneft, as well as targeting Putin's ultra-nationalist biker gang named the Night Wolves. New sanctions were also imposed against the leaders of the Eurasian Union, Alexander Dugin, Pavel Kanishchev and Andrei Kovalenko. In a statement, Stephen Harper said, "Until there is real peace, until occupying forces are withdrawn, and until Ukraine's territorial sovereignty is restored, there must be ongoing consequences for President Putin's regime. Our government is therefore announcing additional sanctions and travel bans against Russian individuals and economic sanctions against Russian entities, as well as Crimean import-export bans. We stand with our partners in calling on President Putin to end his invasion of eastern Ukraine, to withdraw his soldiers, tanks and heavy weapons, and to cease providing military aid to insurgents." The new sanctions against the Putin regime may herald the beginning of a new wave of sanctions against Russia, as world leaders find it increasingly difficult to ignore Russia's repeated and flagrant violations of the last two Minsk peace pacts. Earlier in June, the EU extended economic sanctions against Russia until June 2016 at the earliest. In a statement, the European Council said the 28-nation bloc continues to condemn the illegal annexation of Crimea and Sevastopol by the Russian Federation and remains committed to fully implementing its non-recognition policy. Russian armed forces seized control of Crimea in March 2014, following a popular revolution in Ukraine ignited by Moscow-compliant former President Viktor Yanukovych, reneging on an election mandate to integrate Ukraine with Europe. Yanukovych subsequently fled to Russia, which had hoped Ukraine would form the centerpiece of its Eurasian Union project. In response to the armed seizure of Crimea, the EU imposed asset freezes and visa bans against Putin regime officials and pro-Moscow militants it said conspired to strip Crimea from Ukraine via a fraudulent referendum. As the Ukraine crisis deepened when Moscow launched a hybrid war in East Ukraine, the EU widened the sanctions list over Crimea, imposing economic sanctions against Russia and banning imports from and investment to the Black Sea Peninsula.